All right, we are live.
Hey guys, this is Scott. I'm here with my buddy Adam and my friend from Australia, Bo. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the soccer contest this week, and it was a very interesting contest, and there was a couple of fun things we have to talk about this week. But to start this thing off tonight, before Adam and I dominate this show here, we wanted to let Bo talk a little bit about the contest. Just some simple background. Bo, how did you find the contest? What do you like about the contest? And given the fact right now you're number one, I believe your record is what, 8-1-3? Am I right on
Do you
that?
think so? Yeah.
Yeah, you're number one. And then there is a guy that's setting at 7-2-3. And then there's a little bit of a drop off. I just now published the page. If you guys want to look on Twitter, I just posted all of the picks for the week. But Bo, go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, so I found the competition on Twitter. It was you or Adam that posted it. So one of you, I guess. And I thought it was free. That's a good start. So I joined and yeah, just been making picks. That's about it, really.
Are you going to make it to Bet Bash?
No. That'd
You're
be
not going to
nice.
make it.
But
You're not going to make it to Bet
I don't
Bash.
think so,
Okay.
no. Unless
Oh, okay.
I get 100 grand somehow. But yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm glad you got it. This is definitely an EV positive tournament, given the fact that there's
Yeah.
free entry. Adam is just trying to help me test out the back end proxy server. We'll do a little bit of talking about how the proxy works in Las Vegas. Adam talks a little bit about how Prime Sports is doing in Ohio and in New Jersey. So we're glad you're in there, and you're just doing so much better than everybody else. I just wonder, me being an American, soccer is not my sport. If you could give me any kind of tips or tricks that you're using, I would really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else would too.
Yeah, I'll try not to give away my edge, I guess. But
Right? Don't do
um,
that.
uh, the first thing I did is it's not really like highbrow analytics, but I just looked at the market and looked at the overlays. Like I think this week Albania was 1.5 on the competition, and books had it like I don't know, I think it was like 1. So I did go through that, see any outliers, and then I looked at my numbers. They're not that good, but it gives me leans. So and after that, I look at the games that are 50-50, I think, and usually pick the smaller teams.
Hmm.
I think there might be like a inherent bias to pick the bigger teams just because people know their names.
I bet that's
Right.
true.
So that's about it.
So it sounds like you're basically a top-down guy then, with a little bit of a kicker there. Are you using Spank odds? Because I am posting the odds up on Spank odds.
Yeah, I do.
You do use Spank odds, okay?
Yeah.
Are you a basic member or are you a pro?
Right now, basic, but I was
You're
pro for
basic.
like a year or
Okay.
something. Yeah.
Okay, well, we just had that exciting new tool just released, and if you're basic, it's on a 5 minute delay, but that's all good. Adam, since he's from Australia, do you have any inside question for him?
No, I mean, which part are you from?
Sydney.
Okay, I did a few years in Sydney, 99, 2000. Lived down near Cogra, Rockdale
Oh,
area.
yeah.
Worked
I
at
was born in
Canterbury
Cogra.
Racetrack. Okay, so
So
St. George fan, Dragons fan, or?
Bulldogs actually.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
worked at
yeah.
Canterbury Racetrack for a couple of years as well, so
Okay. Yeah.
long time since I've been home. But I tell you what, something that we probably can do, and it'll be up to you if you win or end up in the top 5. Is I can set up where you can play the contest through me or some other way, or I can send you the 1,000 entry or something like that. So we're very open to doing whatever we can work out with the players as where they end up and if they're going to make it to Vegas or not. But I'm sure we can work out something.
Sounds good.
One thing, though, you should have said, Adam, is when he wins, not if he wins.
Not sure about that.
When. We got to think positive
Well,
here.
yeah, well, at 8-1, and I think I was 3-5 before yesterday, and I think I'm maybe 4-5 after today, and then obviously we all drew the one game. But yeah, it's pretty rough so far. But we'll keep punching through. There's plenty of games left.
Yeah, that was the way I was going to guarantee I was going to beat you in this contest. I'm not putting picks in. So I would have beat you, but I didn't
No
actually get it
doubt.
wrong. Bo, did you have anything you wanted to say here in closing before we let you go? And we want to really thank you for participating. And like I said, you're showing everybody how to play this game because you're way out in front. Like I said, there's a guy sitting with 7 wins, but then there's a pretty good drop off then. So you're doing really good. Just hope if you had anything else you wanted to say, we'll let you do it or we'll let you go.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bit of fun. Thanks for running the comp.
Yeah,
Good to
that's
have some
all
action
Adam.
when you can't beat closing lines on soccer because it's too hard. Yeah, that's about it. Hopefully they don't pick losers.
Blow up from here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be embarrassing, but
I've got a lot of faith in you. So you've done really well. Well, I want to thank you for joining. And I guess we'll let you go for now and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Speak to you soon.
All right. Cheers, bro.
Right.
Good luck.
All right. Well, we got 2 things we need to talk about the contest. The first thing we need to do is we need to talk about something we talked about last week. We had 3 draws this week. We had a long discussion about shading it one side or the other to try to force people to make a decision. Now I know what Bo is going to want you to do is to pick all even numbers. Since he has a lead, he's going to want as many ties as possible. But there's a lot of people behind him in the races. They're going to try to encourage you to do a lean one way or the other. You want to talk about that and what you think with having 3 draws with your handicap?
Well, I mean, 3 draws out of 12 games, and I'm not sure how many other flat numbers we had. But I have purposely tried to lean to a half for the rest of the games, especially week 3, unless it was really hard to. There's a couple of zeros, pick'ems, but yeah, I've made things 1.5 that should be 1 or 2, and 2.5 that should be 2, and things like that. So obviously, majority of the people will be like Bo would play against the market. So there is some opportunity for those that are way behind to, take a chance on what would theoretically be an underdog pick. But if it gets through, then they can make up some ground. And for this contest, you can really work out where you can make up some ground and take chances on some of these ones where I imagine 85-90% of the field are all taking one way if the market's moved. Like the one game, if we're 1.5 and it's the favorite -20 or 1.25 if it was a real market in that spot, then they're going to play the +1.5.
Right.
Vice versa on someone being, a +120 3-way market, and we've got it at -0.5, which then makes the draw and the dog the play there, and maybe that +120 chance wins. So there's definitely spots there. We definitely found one kind of set up in the. And is it this round? Either a flip line or a bad bookie. But having said that, it is Jamaica. It might be a setup. I know that Reggae Boys team pretty well. So who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, I've been claiming it's a setup. I don't know if you made the mistake or I made the mistake, but see, that's a great thing about a contest because the people that are the coin flippers that don't know much about soccer, that didn't benefit them at all. But the guys who really know soccer, it benefited them a lot. So even if I knew that mistake was made after the first pick had been made, I would not have changed it. And here's why. It's not fair to the guy who already made his pick. But I thought it was very interesting. This I wish I would have done this on purpose because this is a great psychological study. The guy who's got 8 wins, Bo, who just left, contacted me and said, "Hey, Scott, you got a problem here." The guy in second place contacted me, said, "Hey, Scott, you got a problem here." 2 other guys contacted me. I think that says an awful lot about those guys at the very top. They want to win, and they want to win straight up. Now, I have made a couple of phone calls myself this week. I won't give away book names, but I have made 3 phone calls to different books that I love, that treat me like a human being. I'm not a number in their world. I'm Scott. And I've called them up and said, hey, you guys, you're 75 cents off the Pinnacle. Are you sure this is what you want? Because if it is, I'm going to get in the car and bring everything I have. And they said,
Right.
no. Don't get in the car. We got to fix this. I said, okay, that's what I thought. You just made a simple mistake. Now, if you treat the bookmaker like you respect them, and you do respect them, they'll respect you back. But there are certain places that we can't do that with. So let's talk about Prime Sports for a second in New Jersey. Let's
Well, it's
imagine.
funny. It's funny you bring that up because I know you and I have had some calls about the bookie better relationship. I think we even did a
We did
YouTube
one.
video at one point in time. We've had a lot. I had actually woke to one this morning where we had I think it was a first 5 innings half run line flipped. A couple of people have taken shots. They get a call and they say, feel free to keep taking shots, but this isn't going to be a friendly experience.
Right.
But Joe can tell you, and I've experienced it as well. New Jersey are good people. I mean, we have got a lot of players that we're getting messages. There's one in particular with home runs being flipped, which is significant difference on a yes no. One side should be plus 600 versus the other side, and things like that. Things that are flipped and they're 30-40 cents to the betterment or whatnot. We're getting those messages as well. But that's one thing that we've definitely noticed and definitely appreciate as we sort of work our way through this, is the amount of players that really appreciate that bookie better relationship and are messaging us that there's flip lines and it gets straight to our traders, and within minutes it's fixed, and there's no real damage, or there's no need to go through the process of having a conversation if certain bets should be void. We've been eating them to this point, not going through that stage, but just putting a little check mark in accounts of who's doing what and who's giving us the calls and whatnot. And then ultimately I have that list given to me, and I have it on hand for if I decide to put up something that is a legitimate arb. They're the first people that get called or get notice. If I'm going to set something up that's a certain price that I just think the market's wrong, and I want to lay a certain side and I'll push it to where it needs to go and things like that, they're the first people that are going to get that call and ultimately get sort of risk-free trades. It's something that I've preached for almost 3 decades now, of that's ultimately where it was, because I learned I wasn't that person in the late 90s and the early thousands when I moved over to this side of the world. I was just sniping and hammering them and whatnot, and you build up a reputation, and then you have difficult times, and then you sort of flip that switch. And again, being on both sides of the counter, you just sort of start to build a different level of respect back and forth to the other side. If you're the bookie to the better, if you're the better to the bookie, you're right. There's some of them that you're just going to try and take their head off, because kind of fuck them in the end. They don't do any favors for the bettors, so why should the bettors do it for the bookies? But this is ultimately how you build those relationships, and I think this kind of contest is something that we're doing as well. Just as Bo said, it's free. It's sort of hard to pass up, just sort of clicking a few buttons, signing up and playing a contest, and then it seems like that he will end up being one of the winners, and I'm happy to sort of try and set up something through you with the proxy, and he's obviously a Spank Odds user, so we'll work it out.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. But the reason I wanted to bring up Prime Sports is because you guys don't limit anybody, and if you don't limit anybody, your bettors are going to be better to you than if you do, because they owe you something. The bettor owes you a lot for you not willing to limit them. So when you see a flipped line with somebody that you owe, you call them. But if somebody who's willing to limit you, then you make a phone call and say, hey, can you drop by that kiosk for me? I need this flipped line. That's all this game is. It's if the bettor is able to show respect to the bookie, and the bookie shows the respect to start with to the bettor, this whole game changes. You don't have to worry about anything. The problem comes down to this. If I had a problem right now, let's just imagine I lived in New Jersey and I had a Prime Sports account. I know who to contact if I'm upset about anything. If there's a grading problem, if there's any problem in the world, all I know is send you a message. Now, if it's a major company like a FanDuel, a DraftKings, a Caesars, an MGM, what am I supposed to do? Nobody cares about me. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear from me.
And I've
So
been on some of those live chats. Like you can sit on those live chats for 40, 50 minutes before you just quit and give up and don't bother with it. And that's ultimately what it is as a hospitality business. I saw a headline lately, who's going to become, the Rolex of sports books. Well, that's kind of, we've sort of always talked about it, black card Amex and, things like that, white glove service. And that's why, we want to be as big as anybody. But the idea is build the relationships as we go along the way, build word of mouth rather than having to spend millions of dollars in marketing. That's definitely a challenge because we're seeing, certain brands giving away so much. So getting traction and customer acquisition is tough. We've seen a brand like ESPN Bet that it's a major national brand struggle to get traction without giving away bonuses like they did when they first sort of launched. So how do you do it differently? One, the product. How far can you really stretch a product of sports betting? It's all somewhat generally the same. Give everyone house limits. As you say, there's no limiting in a structure of everyone's getting house limits. And then it's a service. It's being available, 24/7 as much as possible. Both myself and Joe and his team and our team, it's just, we had one yesterday. The France Euros game, we got a message like 5 hours after the game, it wasn't graded. Well, our system's structured where we grade it in one place, score it and grade it, and it's meant to replicate into the other environment. And it didn't do that. So, we're just thinking everything's fine and dandy. And then we get a call 5 hours later and it's like, holy crap, like that should never happen. But, those things do happen. I'm learning more and more. I've lived on the bookmaker side. I've lived on the betting side. This technology in the middle is hard. And having that flow to multiple instances and, multiple companies and things like that, there's going to be communication errors. So, we're happy for anyone to sort of call, ping us, anything that's taking more than, shouldn't be any more than 15 minutes to final an event and grade it. This one slipped through and it was hours. But that's ultimately, again, it's just finding those mistakes, finding the technical issue, having the team work on that and try and reduce those errors going forward, including flip lines and including fat finger errors and latency feeds and all those kind of things. So, doing a free contest is just, again, part of the fact that we've got, was it mid-30s entries?
yeah, it's like 37, something like
Yeah.
that.
So, take me out and there's, 36 new friends that if they're in jurisdictions that we are in right now, or if they're in a jurisdiction that we're heading to and things like that, it's just to offer a service. And the bettors are really struggling right now with where things are going. I've sort of seen just this morning Spanky and Billy Walder's endeavor of, trying to give the bettors a voice with Richard as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all this is. It's given us a little bit of airtime to talk about a free contest that ultimately is here for the players, not the house, and making that relationship better.
Yeah, and that betters that nonprofit that Spanky's setting up, they're going to have one of the seminar spots. They're going to be there to talk about what the whole goal is and their whole layout. So that's going to be a really good seminar to sign up for. I know Spanky's talking in another week or two. They're going to have the list of seminars up. So that's one you guys should definitely think about. But I did have to laugh when you said that game of yours didn't get graded. Well, this is a brand new system that I'm using here for VHP Proxy, and I didn't click the last button. I had to send you guys your emails when that last game got graded. So I graded it, but didn't click the last button. So you didn't get the email that you should have gotten a couple of hours earlier with your record for the week. So I learned something. I won't make that mistake again. At least I hope I don't. So I think the new system is working perfectly. It's sending out the emails when you make the pick. It's sending out the emails when I enter them into the system, which is going to be important during the NFL system. Not in this system, obviously, because this is all in-house. And then the granddaddy of them all is when it gives you that last email and says, this is your picks, this is the scores, this is your record. And if you looked at that email closely, not only did it tell you what your record was for this week, it tells you your lifetime record. Well, obviously, the first week, those two numbers are the same, but that will be
Right.
changing. And that will be important when we get into the millions contest in the fall at Circa. So system is running perfectly, but I did want to talk about it, just a couple of games if you got a couple of minutes to do that. You good with that, Adam?
Yeah, for sure. But I will add something in there. Now, as a user, an end user for last season, and now an end user for this soccer contest and seeing what the NFL is going to look like, it's night and day advancements. And having used, I think, 4 proxies over the course of 6 seasons or something, this makes life way easier, or especially the reminders, because I guarantee you get to week 14, 15, you've forgotten on a Friday.
Yeah.
Last year, I think my survivor picks, 1 week I did it in Botswana, or then in South Africa, and then in Turkey, and then in Bulgaria. And I was losing track of what time of day it was in those different, back in the States. So it was would have been very handy to sort of get those emails, which last year didn't matter because I was getting a phone call or a message.
Yeah.
But just for everybody else that's not getting, that white glove concierge service that I may get, it just makes it so much easier. For when you get that, it pings up, you see it, even if you're sort of late and you haven't really done the homework, you can go in there, you can make a quick picks, and at least you're sort of still in the game, especially on the survivor. The amount of survivors that don't get picked every week is insane. During from week 1 to whenever the last ones are sort of there, it's unfathomable how many we see each week.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked in that. Okay, well that's a real good segue then. How many people do you think did not put their picks in this week?
Well, I do know the answer because we did speak about this earlier.
I did
but
tell you. I did tell you. I didn't know I
yes,
told you.
you did. But yeah, I mean, I would still expect, or I would have expected a couple, even if maybe the 1-7s or whatever. I think there was 8 games in the first week. If you're 1-7 or 2-7, and I'm guilty of this in the millions, because it just gets to a point where, screw it, and then I'll try again for that last quarter prizes or the different things that they have along the way. But I'm not surprised there was at least one, which is what you mentioned.
Yeah.
But again, life gets in the way sometimes, and it's just it's great to at least get those reminders to at least give you a chance to catch it.
Yeah, the system sent him, I don't know, 3 or 4 emails. It also SMS'd him a couple of times because the system was pretty insistent on getting through to him, and he just couldn't put the picks in, apparently. So he's not thrown out of the contest this next week, which is a bad week to miss, week number 2, because
There's a lot of games.
It's got twice the games as week number 1. So even if you had a bad first week, it really doesn't matter because week 2 is twice as big, and week 5 is twice as big. So you're going to have to look at both of those weeks. Weeks 3 and 4 are the same size as week 1.
Yeah, plus we're going 5 deep. So, the top 2, as you said, there's 1-8-1, there was 1-7-2, and then there was a drop-off. Yeah. I mean, that drop-off sort of has everybody alive for at least those bottom 3 positions as well. So, I actually got the message, got the email, just jumped in, randomly picked things, didn't even look at the market. As I said, the one that I did pick, Mexico +1 against Jamaica. But yeah, it just makes a world of difference, that reminder.
Yeah, I am so thrilled with what the job the developer did. I can't even tell you. And the thing that you're going to like the most in the fall is the Survivor contest, because it's no longer going to allow you to pick a team that you're not supposed to pick. So if you pick the Bears on week 1 and now we're in week 15 and you say, I don't remember if I picked the Bears or not, just try to select it and it won't let you. So
Yeah, and
that's all done for you now.
yeah, and that's again huge for me. I mean, you know, my strategy is not the best in the Survivor, but generally, if this thing I like, I'll pick in like the first 6, and then I'll try and randomize, and then I might pick the 7th and 8th, the same team, and then, I'm trying to spread it across kind of 4 teams if there's some availability there. But it was always every week trying to go and search down that Circa PDF availability file. Just weekly. It just seemed like some weeks you couldn't find it. You had to go find an old one and then tinker with the URL to be able to get the new one. So that's going to be a huge time-saving thing, as well as a bonus of just looking there, having who I'm looking to play. Oh no, I used them somewhere else. They're not available. Pick something else, and then moving forward.
Yeah, you're going to really like that. I know we have a feature request on Spank Odds where people put on all their requests. Well, that was Spanky's #1 request for the new system. And so that's
Right.
the first thing that we did. Since that's what he wanted, that's what he got. And I'm going to be giving a seminar at Bed Bash about the proxies. And I've got a couple secrets I'm going to release in that seminar. I'll just do that as a cliffhanger. So sign up for my seminar, listen to me babble for an hour, and I'm going to give away a couple of secrets I think you're really going to like. But we might want to talk about a couple of the soccer games. There's especially 2 of them I want to talk about real quick.
Okay.
The very first one I want to talk about is Germany. Germany is sitting here at a -1.5. First thing I like about that one is it can't be a tie. I like that. 86% of the people took Germany in that matchup. Generally, are we going to think wisdom of the crowds here? So if Germany's got 86%, if I didn't know anything at all, which I don't in soccer, would I be best off following the wisdom of the crowds, or would I be better off trying to pick up that winning game on the other side and knock out the 86%? What should be the game theory in this selection?
Well, I took the +1.5.
You did? Okay, so perfect one to ask then.
And I didn't, because again, I didn't even look at what the market is, but I thought the market, it must be closer to 2. I thought it was around 1.5. So again, it's obviously like 1 3/4 or something like that. But I think I didn't like Germany coming into this tournament. Now they went and destroyed a team that I thought was probably one of the worst in the tournament in Scotland in that first home game. Plus they had some injuries and missing players. But I like Hungary here. I think they played a Nations League game recently, and Hungary won 1-0. It might have been a year or 2 ago. But they've generally had decent scores in the last 3 games against Germany. So I'm on Hungary +1.5. I haven't looked at what the current market is, but it seems like it must be 1 3/4 or closer to 2 with that many people picking it. Or, as Bo said, a lot of people are just picking the team that they know, and they're thinking Germany, Hungary. Jesus, that must be an easy pick. They must, win by 2 or 3 at least.
Right. And the one thing I can't let you get away with is if you're a top-down guy, there's no excuse for you not to be using Spank Odds and pulling up these contests, because I have a book on Spank Odds called VHP Contest that you can add to your book list. Everybody can see it. If you're a basic user, you're a full user, you're a pro, doesn't matter. Spanky let me give it to everybody since we're not constantly changing the odds. That's one of the conditions that he had for me. And in a contest, you don't change the odds, you only put them up once. Therefore, go to Spank Odds, add the book VHP Proxy Contest, and you'll be good, and you can do the top down. And the other thing that you'll know is I've already got the lines up for the first couple of weeks on Spank Odds. So those lines may go stale in the next week or two. And so those lines are already up. And so you can watch those on Spank Odds and watch them move. One of the things I'm going to do in the fall is I'm going to rename that to Circa Contest. And I'm actually going to put the Circa lines up there. So everybody who uses my proxy service will be able to pull up Spank Odds and see the numbers there without even logging on if they don't want to, and see how the market is moving. So that's something that Spanky has given me to try to help the contestants in this to do well. So just thought I would bring that one to your attention. I did not know you were on Hungry. I think that's kind of interesting, given the fact 13% of the people in this contest agree with you. And of course, 86% don't. I wish I knew what both side was on, since I'd know that's the right side.
Yeah, I just quickly looked it up. I imagine Germany, they're a slight favorite at 1.5, sort of 1.5 minus a quarter, minus 30. So if you're going purely off the odds there versus, which is pretty much an 50-50 at the 1.5, the right way is likely the minus 1.5. But, there's still time before the game and anything can happen, and we'll see what happens. But I'm all over Hungary.
Let me see if I can find the Mexico game. Do you know the number of that one?
No.
I don't know the number. It doesn't stick out. Oh, here it is. Okay, the one with the flipped line. Mexico still only got 83%.
Wow. People actually picked Jamaica -1. Wow.
I think that's great. So what that tells you is maybe it is a trap. They're in on it with me. And
I'm honestly surprised at that. But then, and this is something I've said for a long time, there's certain players that you could give them a final score and they'd still lose. And then there's ones that all they do is bet the favorite. So you could make either side the favorite and they're going to bet that side. But I'm surprised at that number, because literally you've got 13% picking, or between 13-16% picking Hungary, and the same kind of picking Jamaica, which is clearly 2 goals to the worst of it versus maybe 20 cents to the worst of it. But that's kind of, those two things sums up this industry and sports betting, when you get to sit on my side of the fence and seeing how the masses, and I've worked at places with lots of liquidity and lots of different players, pros, inviting everybody in and things like that. That does sum up the industry right there in 60 seconds.
It certainly does. And I know a guy who, if you gave him tomorrow's sports page and you left off one single game and you asked him the next day if he won or not, it would only matter if he won that game, because he would bet everything on that game, because he doesn't want to win. He wants to gamble, which is a hard thing for me to understand. But his whole day would be based on the winner of that game that he had to pick himself. So if there's 1,000 games on there and you just left one off, that's going to define his whole entire day. It's just really hard for me to say. But I can tell you, I am definitely cheering. I'm going to be watching that Mexico game, and I'm cheering for the trap, just so you know.
Oh, listen, I picked Mexico because you just had to pick them +1.
Right.
But I hope Jamaica wins by 2.
Me too.
One, because I spent 20+ years in Jamaica. I like to see them, especially their football team, succeed. But just because, I would love to see them win by 2 goals.
Yeah, and me too. Because right now, everybody listening to us is saying, yeah, they made a big mistake on that. But after Jamaica wins by 2, they're going to say they trapped us. They're going to say,
there you go. There you go.
But those are the big ones I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else? We kind of talked a little bit about seminars at Bet Bash. I think you're going to be doing a live podcast, I believe, right?
Yes, we are. We're going to do a Prime Suspects episode there.
And I think you just put one out today, didn't you? Or was that yesterday?
Today is Tuesday, so yes, there was one. I think should have been going out this evening if it's not already out.
Yeah, I got a notification on my phone. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet, but I plan on listening to it before I go to bed. So there's going to be a lot of seminars at Bet Bash. You got to go to Bet Bash. That's where you're going to meet people. Go to betbash.co. There's still tickets available. I don't know if there's any VIP tickets left. I know the last I talked to Spanky, there wasn't many, if any, left. But there's definitely general admission, so something you might want to do. And give me a shot at Bet Bash, and at least come up and shake my hand. I'm a sponsor of Bet Bash. I'm gonna have a big booth out on the seminar floor. I think Adam, are you gonna have a booth?
I'm
Or
not
you
sure
don't
what
know?
Joe.
Not sure.
No, yeah, I'm not sure what Joe and Prime are doing. I'll be there. I'll be there for the first few days. And again, available for anyone that wants to catch up and shoot the shit and have a beer or a tequila or whatever their drink of choice is. And yeah, I mean, it's always fun.
And one of the things I really like about Bet Bash is I have that private luncheon that I want to invite everybody who is on the contest to. It'll be on Monday. Just send me a message and I'll tell you where it's going to be at. And we'll all get together and have some lunch. We'll have some fun there. But the only other thing I really got to say is Spanky just released the most unbelievable tool I've ever seen for Spank odds. This is this new earns table. Have you had a chance to play with this?
No, I haven't as
You
yet.
haven't? Oh, it is amazing.
But they were talking about it in the office today, about the new feature and how they can look at it and really be able to, from a bookmaker's perspective as well, as you know, you can match yourself against another book and try and make sure that you're not giving away too much of an earn or a middle or whatnot on that side. So, you know, it's very much a tool for both sides of the counter, and also using it when you do want to push
That's
a little
right.
bit and get those players come in. That's where a lot of these other books don't use these tools correctly and really leveraging liquidity and their players and things like that. But yeah, from all reports within our team, it's a huge feature ad, and you know, they look forward to playing around with it, because again, some of our guys are gamblers. Some of them have access to books that, you know, others don't. So it's really going to be an interesting feature, and as many as possible use it as much as they can while it's a free feature, and then ultimately, as they level up, you know, having this feature can ultimately pay for your Spank odds subscriptions and whatnot as well. So that's kind of the secret sauce to a lot of this stuff, is just finding those little nuggets that can ultimately pay for certain tools or handicappings or numbers or, you know, partners or any of those things to sort of just keep building up. And, you know, there's just certain costs of business and expenses that you've got to do to be on the cutting edge of taking advantage of this industry.
Yeah, and this tool is the nuts. And I don't want to downplay it at all, but I've seen the next version of Spank odds and I'm excited. I'm really excited about what's coming next. You guys are in for a treat. I'm just hoping we get this next version released before the end of the year. My dream is to have the next version out before the football season. I don't know. I don't know if Spanky can make that deadline. It's a big ask. But yeah, the next version, you guys are going to love this. You're really going to love it. You should definitely get in on Spank odds now, because the price is going to be going up very shortly. If you're ever thinking about getting involved, you need to get involved today before that price goes up. And like I said, this new version that they're working on, that they're still trying to get the bugs out of, is a game changer. You're going to love this new version. So, Adam, I've probably given enough sneak peeks there. Is there anything you want to close up on, or do you want to go ahead and announce that you're going to be in Nevada with the new book?
Still no Nevada on the radar. May get across the dam at some point in the future. But yeah, always trying to look at new places. But right now we're just trying to build brick by brick what we have, and it's tough. It's a hard game to break into these jurisdictions, especially when the recreational books are just giving away so much. but there's a huge underserved niche, and our competition isn't the other books in the States. It's the unregulated. It's the guy in the corner and things like that. So hopefully along the way we can, get a regulator or two to add crypto to, money in, money out, or some kind of credit system, even if it's small amounts. Something to try and compete with ultimately the unregulated market and turn that around. But it's tough work. So we're just taking our time, taking it easy, making sure that, trying to have the green number at the end of the month, because day by day, you just can't worry about it, week by week. We're going against the best of the best with our minimal customers right now. So if we have a green month, again, we've beaten the best of the best, and we've beaten some of the other books, because ultimately the arbors, which are always welcome through the front door, are doing, God's work for us as well.
Exactly. You gotta love the ARB guys. Well,
So,
that's about all I have here. I believe when you first sign on to the soccer contest, there is a link there that'll tell you when the dates are next due. I believe the next picks that you need to have due is on the 22nd. We'll probably be doing a audio broadcast only. I'm going to be actually not in the office on the 22nd. Adam, I think are you going to be in the office on the 22nd or no?
was it the 22nd or the 24th that we'll do on the next one?
I think we're doing both. I think their picks are going to be due on the 22nd and the 24th.
Okay.
Make sure you check that website to make sure. But I think they're really close together, because we have the Euro tournament and we have the Copa tournament, and that's where they interlap right at that point. And so I had to make those separate weeks, because if I made them 1 week, then it was just going to be too much.
Yeah, 22nd I'll be at home. 24th I'll actually be at in Houston at, I think it's NRG Stadium, watching Colombia and Paraguay. So actually, experiencing a Copa game.
That sounds really cool. And I'll be on a boat, so we'll see what kind of connection we have. We may just do audio instead of video, but we'll see what happens. If I'm not able to be on at all, then Adam, you can certainly carry the load on your own. I can do all of the server work from anywhere in the world. The back end processes that have been built for me are just phenomenal. I could not be more proud of this system. And I hope all of you guys are be willing to sign up for the Circa contest with me at BetBash. I'm going to actually give away $50 in Spank Odds dollars for every single entry you buy. So when you come up and buy 10 Survivor entries, I'm going to give you $500 worth of Spank Odds coupons. So I think you'll like that. So Adam, if you want any closing thoughts, it's about all I have for this week. And I guess we'll be back with you on the 22nd.
Yep, looking forward to it. And all the best for the picks.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, cheers.